Hi there, this short vodcast is about the international relations key concept, the global commons. There was just one thing that stood out for me when I did a boring unit on environmental politics way back in the 90s. It was the idea of the tragedy of the commons. Garrett Hardin, an American ecologist, coined the term the tragedy of the commons in 1968. Hardin and others had observed a conflict between individual and collective interests and the making of rational choices in the use of property that is held in common, so property that is not privately owned. Hardin argued that individual actions in exploiting an open access resource will often bring collective disaster as the pasture, fish stock or river concerned suffers ecological collapse through overexploitation. Here's a simple example to show you what I mean. The village common is owned collectively by the whole village and is free for all of us to use. We all graze our sheep there. As our families grow, it makes rational sense for us to get more sheep and put them on the village common to graze. Our families benefit at no cost to us. At first, it is fine. The carrying capacity of the common is sufficient for all of us to use it as much as we require. But our families grow. More and more sheep use the common. The grass is all eaten up and doesn't have time to regrow. Eventually, the common is destroyed. Hardin's solution to this dilemma was enclosure of the commons through privatisation or nationalisation. And so we see the village common divided up so that each family has their own bit. In this way, Hardin considered that landowners would not act to destroy their own land, so would only graze as many sheep as their block of land could handle. But this is only limited practical application in the case of the global commons for two main reasons. It is physically or politically impossible to enclose them, and there is no central world government to regulate their use. So, what exactly are these global commons, and why are they proving so difficult to protect? According to the UN, the global commons refers to resource domains or areas that lie outside of the political reach of any one nation state. So it identifies four global commons, namely the high seas, the atmosphere, Antarctica, and outer space. These areas have historically been considered the common heritage of humankind, the open access doctrine. In the past, most resources found within the global commons have not been scarce enough to justify exclusive control and access. But times have changed. Antarctica is facing rapid environmental degradation due to pollution and the effects of global warming. The doctrine of mare liberum, free sea for everyone, allows for the dumping of wastes and overfishing in the high seas. The destruction of the global commons is taking its toll on the international economy, sustainable development and poverty alleviation, and according to some commentators, may even lead to war. So, what is happening to the global commons? How are they being destroyed? The first thing impacting the carrying capacity of the global commons is the rapid increase in human population. With billions of people across the planet, the carrying capacity of the global commons is becoming severely stretched. Global production requires the use of finite resources as well as access to the global commons, such as the sea and the atmosphere. The globalisation of production and consumption means environmental issues are widening to more and more places, as well as impacting the global commons more and more. So while Hardin's idea of privatisation of the commons or government control of the commons might work within the boundaries of the sovereign nation state, this is much harder in the global commons as there is no world government. This doesn't mean that efforts are not being made. In the same way that governments will take action to protect the national commons, the international community has introduced a raft of measures designed to protect the global commons. By restricting access to the oceans, controlling the release of harmful substances into the atmosphere, and creating incentives for those using the global commons to ensure it is protected. These include the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which aims for responsible production and consumption, The UN has also coordinated global action on the environment. Conferences, summits, and cooperative agreements have been going on since 1972. Emissions reduction targets have been set in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1994, the Kyoto Protocol in 2005, and the Paris Agreement in 2015. There are different ideas about meeting these commitments in Australia, with tensions between the economy and the environment. Moving beyond such a tired old debate is imperative, of course, as government, business, and the public need to concentrate meaningful effort to combat what has deteriorated into a climate emergency. This is particularly so for Australia, the driest continent on Earth and the largest fossil fuel exporter in the OECD. It will take courageous leaders to stand up and call for serious, sustained commitment to protecting the global commons and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. I've seen them marching in the street all over the world. Perhaps you'll be marching too. I'm Diane Colman. Thanks for watching.